Well, matter of fact, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Once we get to Daniel chapter 7, then we'll be able to bring that element out about the America. But so what is, read that verse again?
Verse 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, parts of potter's clay and parts of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron.
Right.
For as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with
fire. When it said the kingdom shall be divided, in this present day now, this is still Esau's kingdom. This is still the Roman Empire. It is the last leg of the Roman Empire. Let me give you a few things to show you. When you go into the dynamic of when Rome was at, we'll say, moving toward its height, what was it known for? It was known for the form of government that it had, and number two, the most important thing, it was known for its military might. As it expanded, two things began to happen. Literally, Rome, through its military might, began to overextend itself. Okay, in other words, it began to conquer lands that, through integrating so many different nations into its system and giving Roman citizenship, the opportunity for Roman citizenship, the opportunity for upward mobility in the Roman Empire, the military and national cohesion disintegrated. And that's what's taking place today. Today, America, scripturally, is considered, when you read the book of Revelation chapter 17, it refers to it as the beast that was and is not and yet is. Because the beast is referring to a kingdom, as we're going to see in Daniel chapter 7. And when it says the beast that was, meaning Rome came, had its height and fell. So that's what it means when it says and is not. And then it says, but yet is, because after the Renaissance, the so-called white man came back and took over the whole world. And what aspect of it was it that took over the world? It was all of the provinces, the provinces. Let's go there. It was all of the provinces. Is that a good angle? All of the provinces that, I shouldn't say all, select provinces of the Roman Empire after the disintegration and the downfall of the Roman Empire, and after a period of years approximating about 1,000 years had elapsed, this event in the world or in history called the Renaissance took place. And with the dawn of the Renaissance brought the emergence of new kingdoms that were once provinces, that were once simple provinces of the Roman Empire. They became kingdoms and empires themselves. We're going to get more into that, like I said, in Daniel chapter 7. Or, yeah, Daniel chapter 7. Read that verse again out.
Okay. Verse 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, parts of potter's clay and parts of iron, the kingdom shall be divided.
In other words, it's talking about mingled people. Now, Rome eventually was divided also. In the ancient days, the Roman Empire split into two. It had a western wing and a capital, and it had an eastern rim and a capital. The western wing and its capital was in Rome. Then you had the eastern wing, and its capital became known as Constantinople, which today is known as Istanbul, Turkey. That didn't happen. Okay, continue.
But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron.
But it still maintained its military force, and to this very day, that's the circumstance. The kingdom is divided in the aspect that its army is comprised of not just white Americans, but it's comprised of the slaves that were imported over here, our people Israelites. It's comprised of the families of Israelites that were conquered by the so-called white men that are called Native Americans. Today we call them Hispanics. We call them Latinos. These are people that were conquered during the colonial era of the formation of the United States. So when it talks about being divided among itself, those are the things it's speaking of. It's going to get more detail too. Go ahead.
For as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. Verse 42. And as the toes of the feet were parts of iron,
in other words, these toes, part iron
and parts of clay.
And just so that you know, we haven't touched on the 10 regions. If you notice on the feet, there are 5 toes. The make up 10, and that's symbolic of literally the 10 provinces of the Roman Empire. We're going to put more emphasis on that in a few minutes when we move on over to Daniel chapter 7. The tolls in Daniel chapter 2 are symbolic of the 10 horns that you're going to hear mention of in Daniel chapter 7. Go ahead.
Verse 42. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and parts of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Go ahead. Verse 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, right, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men.
Now this is in these times, the latter days. When it said mix itself with the seed of men, look at the demographic that the American empire has grown into. Any culture that has been allowed to migrate to the United States also get the opportunity to become naturalized citizens. So they go from being Pakistani, that's the same thing. They go from being Pakistanis to Pakistani Americans. They go from being Chinese to Chinese Americans. But even though they're naturalized citizens and they consider themselves Chinese Americans, it says they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but what?
But they shall not cleave one to another.
No, but they're not integrated. Like America is constantly boasted to be the great melting pot. But when you come to America, let's pick all the big cities. You go to Houston, you go to Los Angeles, you go to Detroit, you go to New York. What do you have? You got Chinatown over there. Because in other words, it's showing you that when it says they shall not cleave, although these people from other nations are represented in the States, you don't have no cultural cohesion. You got Chinatown, you got Koreatown, you got Little Tokyo, you know what I'm saying? You got all of the cultures that come to America and do what? And create their own little, listen, and this is no joke because when you go to these places, you can't read the signs. Little Tokyo is all in Japanese. Koreatown is what? Now, don't get me wrong. The only reason you see the Koreans is because of all the stores and the swap meets they got in their neighborhood. But aside, there's no cohesion going on. They're there for what? To benefit themselves. So when it says they shall not cleave to one another, the nations that come to this country, that come to America, their endeavor is not for the advancement of the American culture. Their endeavor is to use America as a resource for their own endeavor. That's what it's about. So in other words, you have, for instance, certain nations right now are in political, economic wars with the United States. Look at what China's doing. You know, buying a lot of, well, they got a whole lot of. But yeah, they got a whole lot of reserves and dollars. Like it's always touted that it's 1.3 trillion. So they're starting to see the decline of the dollar. And what are they doing? Are they trying to help prop America up? No, they're getting rid of those dollars by buying American infrastructure. For the most part, DC ports, inland ports, roads, toll roads, things like that. Banks, all type of things. So in other words, it's showing you, is that a sign of a culture that comes to this country, that comes to America with the intention of strengthening it? So that's what the scripture means when it says they shall not cleave to one another. Each nation, each culture represented in this country that is modern day Rome is what? Is working for its own interests. When it comes to the American interest and it comes to the other nations, there's a conflict of interest. Read on down. That was the end of verse what? Verse 43. Go ahead.
Even as iron is not mixed with clay.
Yeah, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Go ahead.
Verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven.
So when it says the days of these kings, it's literally talking about in these last days, shall the God, the power of heaven, go ahead,
set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left for other people.
Now that kingdom is going to get more descriptive in Daniel chapter 7. That kingdom that is referring to literally is our people, the Israelites, being delivered from all the corners of the world where we were scattered during the time of slavery, and subsequent to that, we're going to be delivered and set up. Continue.
But it shall break in pieces.
In other words, Christ is going to rule, and we're going to rule, like the scripture said, we're going to be joint heirs with him. Go ahead.
And consume all these kingdoms.
But it shall what?
But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms.
In other words, it's showing you, Christ's kingdom is not just going to come and just start getting built. It's going to destroy other kingdoms first.